Good morning.
Yes, we both come from Republican families. I'm just sort of trying to imagine
Not that kind of Republican
right?
family.
Yeah.
Every day you feel like they can't fall farther, and this is who they are now, right? Is Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and Matt Gaetz and just this parade of I don't even know what to call them, right?
The Hate Caucus. I mean, and not just like, they don't just hate liberals. They just hate everything. It's just bizarre. And the idea that they wouldn't be held accountable when they, share what amount to little more than threats against their colleagues. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. And, at least there were two Republicans who were willing to hold him accountable.
Our velociraptors, Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, of course.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, and can I just say, I hate her for making me like her. Oh. She owned Ted Cruz yesterday. Oh, she blew him up on Twitter. Hang on. Hold, please. I have it. Hang on a second. What did she say? Okay. I'm just telling you, the way Republicans fight, I'm glad she's our velociraptor right now for January 6th. But I don't have it. Do I have it in front of me? What did she say to Ted Cruz? Oh, here it is. Liz Cheney is hitting back at Ted Cruz after he went on Fox News and accused her of Trump derangement syndrome, saying she was broke by Trump. Trump broke Ted Cruz, Cheney said. A real man will be defending his wife, his father, and the Constitution.
Oh.
Oh my God. Right?
Yeah.
But that's how you fight.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Huh?
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes.
Ted Cruz's inability to stand up for any of those things.
Yeah.
Because he wants to be president when he grows up.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, she went right at it, this whole Josh Hawley, the party of manly men. And they're all such giant whiny sies. Right up to Judge Onion Belt yesterday whining about, I'm not going to let TV cameras in here anymore because people, it's like I can't, they're all the same. They're all these white grievance, poopy diaper babies. I don't know how else to say it.
Well, and they get rewarded for it. And that's why you don't see more Republicans stepping out of line. Because the leadership sends word from down, up high that you don't vote to censure Gosar, because what's to say when the next, it would be an endless stream of these types of votes if Republicans actually were willing to hold their colleagues accountable. It's not like this is the first and only time something like this has happened.
Well, yeah, and what was the difference? Why did Marjorie Taylor Greene lose her? I can't even remember now which offense she finally lost her committees over, but she just did it again yesterday. She was inciting civil war and violence.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, this is, thank God. Thank God there's a GOP in Disarray story. Thank God. Politicos. House Republicans are embroiled in a messy internal spat, suffering from self-inflicted wounds that could hurt their chances of regaining the majority in 2022. Chuck Todd will tell us later why this is bad for Democrats.
That's right.
Okay. At the same, Politico reports at the same time, some rank and file Republicans are still pushing to punish their own colleagues for backing a bipartisan bill reviled by former President Trump. The party's embroiled conservative agitators have repeatedly stoked controversies that threaten to become all-consuming distractions, leaving Kevin McCarthy to seek out a fire extinguisher. Representative Daniel, whoever, said it's unfortunate and a shame these self-inflicted injuries occur, while several other Republicans privately said Gosar's antics brought Republicans an unneeded diversion in an otherwise upbeat month. Yes, indeed, fight. Mm-hmm. Big bag of rats here, all awful.
They would much rather hold their colleagues accountable for doing something good for the American people than for forwarding on threats against their other colleagues. Right. This is... At
the same time, can I just... Did you see the interview at Mar-a-Lago? Is Trump dressed as the, really overweight head waiter and being interviewed by My Pillow guy?
With terrible audio, by the way.
Right. And this was the part about how he agreed with the Pillow guy that melting down the voting machines into prison bars would be a good... something
16.
Here. Uh-huh. Yes, here we go.
No? Okay. Very interesting.
Hold on.
I've said we're going to melt down the machines and use them into prison bars.
It's very interesting. It's a very good idea.
That's a very good idea. What?
I assuming for all the rest of us to put us in prison, melt the voting machines into.
I listened to all of that whole interview just so I could get that clip for you. So thank you.
The passing of Max Cleland reminded me that it's like Karen just said about Trump didn't enable this Republican Party; he revealed it, and they have always been awful, from Atwater to and his racist. I mean, remember he was on tape saying, "Oh, you can't say N-word anymore," like that was a bad thing. But so now you got to do this in terms of racist dog whistles, right up through calling Max Cleland an enemy of America, who left 3 of his 4 limbs on the battlefield in Vietnam. So they have always been awful.
Right.
but I also don't remember them just being this outwardly crazy. This many outward crazy people. Yeah.
There's a difference between being awful and with authoritarian tendencies, right? And I think that's what Trump has done here. He's brought in that awfulness into the light. A lot of the stuff that Atwater described back in the day was done discreetly, quietly to win elections. Not that it was good, but it was still done, behind closed doors. This stuff is all out in the open now.
Remember Karl Rove's whispering campaign that Ann Richards was lesbian in Texas? Yeah. I mean, they've always been awful and homophobic and racist.
John McCain's baby, African-American baby. And, the rest of it. When in fact he had a adopted daughter from Bangladesh. So it's out in the open now, and it has the tint of a party that has abandoned its principles in favor of idol worship. Yeah.
By the way, if I ever run for anything, you don't need to do a whispering campaign. I am a lesbian. Okay. I couldn't reach the bullhorn, but I'll.
It was
that audio is about as good as that interview with the pillow guy.
It was questionable until what, 2009, when you came out?
Oh yes. One of my friends just wrote me a letter about when she had a crush on me when we used to hike together, and she thought I was straight. Hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, Karl. Here, put your campaign strategist hat on, because I loved Ron Klain's tweet. He just lays out facts, which is what we have to do right before 2022. He said, exciting news day today. Major retailers, our shelves are well stocked. Government stats, it was a jobs boom, not a bust in the summer. What about all that coverage, right? Rating agencies, the BBB bill would not add to inflation. The COVID team, 10% of 5 through 11-year-olds are vaxxed in 10 days. That is 5 times faster than the adult vaccine rollout. So, again, and here all the talk is inflation, when Donald Trump's tax cuts for the rich were not paid for. It had $2 trillion, right, to the deficit, and this bill is paid for. And secondly, the second one, BBB, all of these Nobel-winning economists have said will help inflation. So what? Right. How do we take control of this? Talk to us about how we take control of this message if you're advising Democrats.
Well, I think they need to continue to point out all the good things that the infrastructure bill is going to pay for, and all the projects it's going to start, and the jobs it's going to create. They need to get Kamala Harris and the president out there on the stump around the country, pointing these projects out, selling them to the American people, pointing out that this is a result of things done in Washington. Yeah. And they need to get the Build Back Better done and do the exact same thing there. My fear is that they will take these victories and move right on to the next thing. And yes, they should move on to the next thing, but they can't move on and pretend like the American people know what's been done. They need to make sure that the American people are educated about these projects that are being done around the country.
Yeah. Paul Waldman wrote a piece, Washington Post. He said inflation is a real but manageable problem. It's not spiraling out of control. What is spinning out of control? Inflation panic. And Eric Boehlert tweeted, this recovery, one of the lines from it is, this recovery has been nothing short of stunning, 100%. So, and Joe Lockhart, he said, if you're genuinely worried about inflation, why not support a bill that lowers the price of childcare and health care? Or maybe you really don't care and just want to sabotage the president and the country. That's it. That's it in a nutshell, isn't it?
It has only been 12 years since they met before Obama was sworn in and said that they were going to stop his agenda at all costs, never vote for anything. So It's not like the strategies of the Republican conference in the Senate have changed since then. McConnell still knows that there's a benefit to his party not working in any way, shape, or form with a Democratic president, because they can make Washington look like it's mismanaged and unable to function. Meanwhile, these things are happening.
Yeah.
Some Republicans are doing the right thing. And, if they can get out there and explain what is being done, these projects and the impact that they're having on the economy, on jobs, on inflation, I think that they can, these poll numbers will change.
Yeah. Well, and also, Don Winslow tweeted, best chance of beating Republicans in 22 is by exposing everything they did on and before January 6th to destroy the Constitution and steal the election after Joe Biden had lawfully won it. If the full horror of January 6th comes out, not just the foot soldiers, but the commanders, Democrats win. I think that's a part of it.
I don't know that that's true. I think you need to do that because it's the right thing to do. Right. And that will certainly motivate some Democrats to get out and vote. But the American people want to hear what you're doing for them now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and also, I have to say, if you heard all these voicemails, Karl, which I'm sure you did, but I mean, left for some Republicans who just voted for infrastructure, and you kind of can understand why they didn't vote to condemn violence. You're like, did you hear these voicemails about wishing death on them and their children in front of them?
I've received voicemails like that.
Yes,
I mean, this
is
the state of the country.
But they go, oh, these are our voters. These are our voters that are leaving messages for us like that. So, yeah, do you really think they're against violence? I guess not. I mean,
no, they're in favor of winning. And when it comes down to it, people know a lot of people know what happened on January 6th, and we need to know the full story of what happened, who was involved, and how they were involved. But the work that's being done in Congress right now around, finished on infrastructure and what's being done on Build Back Better, that's the story that's going to win the 2022 election, are the things that the Democrats who took back the White House and have Congress are doing for people. To some people, January 6th investigations look like what, and they're not right, but some people view that as settling scores. It's not about settling scores. It's about securing our democracy. And look at all the other things that President Biden and Democrats in Congress are doing.
Yeah.